We're going to start talking about the loss of Milah. We're going to start making a series of videos and shiurim about this. We're going to be using the sefer made by Rabbi Nachum Scheiner, the Rosh Kollel of the Medrash or Chaim of Monsey. So with his permission, we're going to be teaching this and spreading the information and how he compiled it. Okay, there are other shiurim that, B'ezrat Hashem, we could get access to it, like the Leil Aseder and the Mishmeres Chometz, and there are others. Eventually, we're going to get there, especially on more practical laws. Okay, so we're going to get to the introduction. So basically, we know that the Milah, the Bris, is the greatest mitzvah, right? It's the greatest mitzvah because it's the mitzvah that actually makes a person enter into the covenant. Right? We have the covenant of the Bris. Brit means covenant, and the Milah is one of the covenant that was ordered to Avraham Avinu. We have other type of britot. We have the brit ben avetarim, but especially the Bris Milah is one of the most important, if not the most important one, because even to practice some mitzvot, you guys are going to realize that it's needed. It's me'akev, the practice of a mitzvah. If you are circumcised or not, we have the case of the Korban Pesach, as everybody knows. So, says here Rabbi Scheiner the following. So the Tur, in his introduction of Hilchos Milah, he quotes the Gemara in Nedarim, right? Masechet Nedarim, the page is Gimel Aleph, Amud Bet. So that tells us the importance of the mitzvah of Milah. Calling it, and he does call it, the greatest mitzvah of all the mitzvot. So this is a bold statement. And this statement needs to be understood, right, as the following. So what is unique about the mitzvah? What is so unique about this mitzvah that is titled as the greatest mitzvah of all the mitzvot? Additionally, we find this expression in regards to other mitzvot as well. For example, we find that the tzitzit is considered equal to all the mitzvot. So that being the case, which is really what makes the Bris the greatest mitzvahs of all the mitzvot? So says the Shem Meshemuel, that he quotes his father, the Avnei Netzer, who elucidates this concept with an analogy to one's body. Says the following, the Shem Meshemuel. Says a person is made up of many different limbs and organs. Some are more vital to our existence than others. And a person can live a long and healthy life even if he is missing a finger or even a whole hand. However, there are certain organs, for example, the brain, the heart, the lungs, which are crucial for our very existence, and without them, one cannot live. So similarly, the 248 mitzvot corresponding to the 248 limbs of a person's body. Indeed, every mitzvah is significant and no mitzvah should be underestimated. However, there are certain mitzvot that are our spiritual lifeline and are crucial for our very existence. So these mitzvot that are so important are equivalent of all the other mitzvot, because without their fulfillment, one will not be able to exist. So the mitzvah of the Milah is one of them, for example. And the Tur goes on delineate many of the dimensions and powers that are taped by fulfilling the essential mitzvah, and thereby making this mitzvah so extraordinary. Right, so the Bris Milah is one of the only mitzvot that failure to perform is punished by karet. So we remember that in Masechet Kereizos, at the beginning it says there are 36 mitzvot, 36 negative commandments, that the transgression of those commandments are going to make a person liable of kares. But there are also positive commandments. So the Bris Milah is one of them. Additionally, the Mishnah in Masechet Nedarim, as we mentioned before, the same Dav Lamed Aleph Amud Bet, it tells us that the expression Brit is used 13 times in reference to the Milah. And therefore, 13 Britot, bonds with Hashem, are created by performing this mitzvah. 13 connections. Furthermore, the Torah points to the Mishnah in Masechet Avot that one who nullifies Bris Milah will not receive a portion in the world to come. If they nullify the mitzvah of, or they don't perform the mitzvah of Milah. Conversely, he quotes the Gemara that Avraham Avinu guards over the entrance way to Geinom and does not allow one who is circumcised to enter. So thus, without a Brit, no other accomplishments will be meaningful, and with a Brit, one is safe from punishment in the next world. Additionally, the Torah continues, saying that the Bris Milah is not just an externality, as is the talis or the tefillin, which are worn on the body. The Bris Milah is a symbol embedded in our bodies, testifying to our unique and inbuilt status as the chosen nation. Thus, this mitzvah is indeed very powerful and a part and parcel of our very lifeline. In fact, it's also like including here mysticism. In fact, the Zohar points out that the mitzvah of Milah has such a great power and can actually bring about a bona fide connection in the person to the upper spheres. So the Zohar attributes the fact that Ishmael and his descendants have domination in Eretz Israel and the power to withhold the settling of the land by the Jewish nation to the merit of their adherence of performing the Bris Milah. And the Zohar adds that they will continue to have dominance in Eretz Israel, in the land of Israel, in the empty land, just as their mitzvah is relatively empty, until the merits that they have from fulfilling this mitzvah is terminated. So the Zohar continues saying that there will be constant wars on land and on water, but the Ishmaelim will not lose their hold on the land. So says, continue here of Scheiner saying, what is the shift through the mitzvah of Milah? Does it just remove imperfection, or does it actually infuse kedusha in a person and facilitate reaching greatness? This seems to be a subject of discussion in the Rishonim as to the extent of the mitzvah of Milah. So the Mishnah in Nadarim asserts that one who has no Milah is disgraceful, and only through Milah can a person reach totality. This, says the Mishnah, is clear in the pasuk in Parshas Lech Lecha, where Hashem told Abraham in regards to the mitzvah of Milah, Itchalech lefanai veheye tamim. Go before me, and you will be complete. Which show us that only after the Milah did he become complete. So the Gemara in Nidarim, Lamed Bed Amud Aleph, elaborates on this point how Avraham Avinu, even after all his great devotion to performing mitzvot, still did not achieve his highest level of complete spirituality until after his circumcision. Hence, we see that Brit Milah removed its perfection. The Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, as well as the Sefer HaChinuch, elaborates on this point. How a person is born incomplete, and his purpose in this world is to complete himself. This is similar to a person's physical dimension, where one works to accomplish and achieves greatness. The Moreh Nevuchim continues by saying that the Milah weakens one's draw to material and physical desires, thereby facilitating one's achievement of Tikkun HaMidot, or rectifying his traits, reaching a level of having refined character traits. So these Rishonim seem to be of the opinion that the Milah accomplishes removal of the spiritual blemishes. However, other Rishonim elaborate on the greatness of the mitzvah and explain that there is much more to Milah than just removal of imperfection. As mentioned earlier, the Torah delineates many great spiritual levels that can be reached through Milah. So the Beis Halevi quotes the Sefer Akedah, who maintains that the mitzvah of Milah actually encompasses both dimensions: removal of a spiritual imperfection, as well as infusing a person with Kedusha. So the Beis Halevi elaborates on this notion and suggests that both of these ideas are actually alluded in the Pasuk in Parshas Lech Lecha, where Hashem told Avraham, "T'chalech lefanai ve'yeh tamim, ve'etneh briti beni ubemecha," saying like, "Go before me and you will be complete, and I will place a bond between us." The Milah was twofold. So the Milah was twofold. It brought him to reach completion, as well as bringing him close to Hashem. So the Beis Halevi proposes that these two phases of Milah are accomplished by two components of the mitzvah. What are the two components of the mitzvah? The Milah and the Priyah, which correspond to these two dimensions of Milah, thereby putting every child on the road to reach completion, as well as infusing them with great powers of Kedusha, bringing them close to Hashem.